are not shielded from. And in that way, you're allowed to do things that you're allowed in rooms and in spaces that other Black people are not allowed. And to acknowledge that journey in an honest, holistic way makes you more compassionate, because there are other people that didn't even get the opportunity to work hard.
Yeah. Before he goes into the next thing, I just want to say, I did have a question for you, and I guess just like piggybacking off what everybody has said. My housemate does Black Trans Travel Fund, and I have witnessed this travel fund in a way where just, it's wild, right? So, and one thing for him and I is, I know he gets annoyed by me, and I love him to death, but he's like a light-skinned, dude, and I'd be like reminding him that you have gotten so much more money because of the privilege, or whatever we want to call it. Like, we literally have Black trans women that are close to us that we work with that have said, we've been asking for money forever to get what we need, and nobody's throwing us money the way they're throwing you. So I think about, somebody said like leveraging resources. I think about what that means. I think about what it means to step into this power, right? And like, the question I had was, it's very interesting to hear you say those things, because I even think about like, that's a level, that's a power that you have to have these. Pretty much, I seen on Twitter, I guess somebody had a tattoo artist, and they said that somebody came in and wanted a tattoo that was disrespectful to Native people, and they turned them away. So my question is for you is, and of course you might not be able to answer it now though, and it might be just some introspectives, where do your boundaries lie, right? You being in connection with abolitionists, you being in connection with people who is bailing people out, you be in connection with, and you still sit down and tattooing pigs. What you gonna do? If he comes sit down and he want a Nazi symbol, are you gonna do that? Or is it gonna stop with him sitting in your chair, or is it gonna stop with the symbol that he wants on him? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you gonna do the little blue flag that we all know is the response to Black Lives Matter? So like, it becomes that thing where I hear you, because I'm somebody's child, right? And I have a father that has to and has had to do things to feed me. And I also think about you. Do you think saying no to that will stop you from your next bag? Do you think if you say no then, you're not gonna catch another bag? Because then remember, when we talk about privilege or whatever you want to call it, you have an ability in my eyes, right? And I can hold that, to walk away from things that, yes, it may put you in a little bit of a pickle, but somebody else is gonna let you tattoo that. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like what I like to step into when we start talking about this.
For sure. No, and it's very valid. Like, see that, and that's another thing. Like, that's why it's hard. Like, it's hard to navigate that, because I don't want I don't want none of this shit to seem performative on my end. So like, yes, there's at least a little bit of integrity, you know what I mean? Like there is a line,
right? And
when that line is crossed, I straight up am just like, no.
Respect.
And then the owner of the shop will be like, what happened? Why did he leave? I said, oh well, he wanted this, and I'm not doing that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, and like, that's a privilege that the shop owners sit in as well.
Right.
Whereas like, no, like you said, even if I say no to that person, they'll still make money off another employee. You know what I mean? So it doesn't bother them as much. But for me, like, not to get like too into like the financials or whatever, but I don't even keep all of it.
Of course.
And so like, they have to take a cut for the store, and then I get the rest of that. So some things I will say are worth dealing with for me to feed my family.
Right.
Other things, I cannot put a price on doing a fucking swastika.
I hear you.
You know what I mean? Like, if that shit, like, first of all, I'd be offended that you walked in and thought that would be okay to ask for. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
For me, I'm building a relationship with you, and I say here on camera, if me and you are going to become friends or even comrades, you will never let a pig sit in your fucking chair. Okay. And that's just me just keeping it real with you. Okay. Because at the end of the day, it will become like, for me, I work for a utility company here, where I literally am a first responder and I have to be on scene with them. But guess what my coworkers know? Who they do not send to go talk to them, I literally ignore them. Yeah. Again, that's my own little politics, my own little world, but literally I do not fuck with them. And I'm gonna take it a step further. My biological father is a retired cop. Yeah. My cousin is a cop. I have multiple cousins as a cop, and I definitely play with that dynamic. But if me and you gonna be cool, you're gonna say no to all pigs, because it's just, I'm a radicalize the fuck out of you.
Okay.
I said last night to him, some of the best teachers teach you when you don't know. And that's how when we get in a group, whatever our respective group of peers are, whether it be you're queer and they're cis queers, or you're trans and it's trans masculine, or you cishet, whenever you get in your respective like group of people, you know, you gonna work with what you got, you know.
I think also some things to factor in is that a lot of what makes shit hard is that when we get caught up in our feelings in the moment, it becomes about us and our egos. Yes. And so, well, I be going through shit too. Like, how can you tell me that I have this and that privilege when I deal with this, that, and that, and the third? And for me personally, I always have to like remind myself that it's not ultimately the shit isn't about me, it's about community shit.
Thanks.
If I just remind myself that it's about community shit, and it's like the same way that I would want somebody in my community to hold themselves accountable and to be like, you know what, I did do X, Y, and Z. That was fucked up. I can see why this, that, and the third. I'm gonna try to do this in the future. I want that from somebody.
Yeah.
I know myself. I know I fucking want that shit from somebody. That shit give me wings.
Yeah.
Right? But like, I need to be able to do that for other people, even when it feels uncomfortable, even when I don't fucking want to, even if I need to like take a break right quick and be alone and think about it. Like, there have been many times I've been speaking to my fam, and we try to have conversations about like, I'll throw out a quick example about whose land does America belong to, and what happens after the revolution, like, you know, in the sense of like dealing with, you know, the people who are originally from here and whether or not we get to stay. And I was telling my homeboy, I was like, we might need to pay rent or whatever rent looks like, but we will have to go to the people who own New York and pay that rent. And he got tight because he's like, no, I'm black. I sowed this land, like I'm from here. And he felt some type of way, and he took a few days to himself. I respect him for this. He took a few days to himself and he thought about it. And he came back, he came back to me and started the conversation again. And he was like, you know what, I was feeling some type of way for X, Y, and Z reasons. But it's like, at the end of the day, this is not my land, and I don't want to be like white people. And I feel like I'm at least talk to the people that run this shit. Maybe if I build rapport, maybe if I whatever, we can talk some shit. Just because like I have like, obviously I feel some type of way, they may feel some type of way too. Maybe without white people we can come to an understanding. And it's like, maybe, or maybe they might tell you to fucking leave and you have to go somewhere else. But it's like, it's like realizing that it's greater than you. That it's not just the ego and the feelings. There's something more than us. White people teach us to give a shit about only us, because if it's just us, they can just knock us over.
Right.
But if we think about everybody, it's easier, you know?
For those that do like organizing work, I'm sure we heard of like individualism, right? And how like that's not gonna help us. And that, what you're saying, it makes me think of how it's like systemic. And then that also makes me think of like what it means to leverage power and privilege when you enter in those spaces. So, like I said, going back to Black Trans Travel Fund, like I know my mans be so annoyed with me because I be coming at him with these things, and I guess for me, I just be trying to think ahead of the game. Like for example, we not getting this, but let's just say we get $100,000, we're just giving our rides. Yes, that's important, but yo, there's Black trans women that need rent, that need food. Like, if we get $100,000 for a ride, are we really gonna keep all that $100,000, or are we going to give $20,000 away to somebody else? You know what I'm saying? So when I think about like leveraging, I think about what it looks like for me to be in this position and sit in this room with y'all and kind of like, and it's not like you said, not taking a mic for people, but uplifting and being like, no, Black trans women said they need this, and now I'm in this room with y'all. What are we about to do? You know what I'm saying? So that is where I'm at with this, like organizing direct action. Like my nigga, we're dying, and we could all not die if we work together.
And I think it's important that we always talk about the fact that a lot of us grow up in Black communities, so we don't necessarily experience racism first. We experience the other isms, and we experience, I mean, like racism is still playing a role in our lives because of how systems work. So, but we can't call it so easily, right? It's like I can't call like that this white dude is being racist to me before I was already experiencing homophobia as a 5-year-old or as a 6-year-old, right? And again, like it goes back into anti-Blackness and everything, but it's like we have to start talking about this type of privileging that happens because we all grow up in the same community. So I'm not going to a barbershop with white people in it. Like I'm only, like since I was a child, I've been going to a barbershop and hearing bitch and hearing fag and hearing, right, training and hearing like all of the slurs, right? And I've watched catcall and I've watched the men run out of the barbershop and chase women. I've watched all of that first because we all grew up together. And so it's like we need to start talking more about how our movement, how our liberation looks like because we are together. And yeah, we all are a strong front against white supremacy because we all know that. But how do we start to get people to understand, like, okay, you now have these levels of things, I have these levels of things, plus these levels of things, plus this level of thing. And it's like, homophobia, transphobia is all birthed out of misogyny. And so it's like, how do we then start to teach people, like, these things, like, if you fix this thing, it fixes this thing and fixes this thing. But you can't do that unless we start to have conversations about y'all sit up here though, because you don't experience misogyny because you are a black straight man.
I think like it's like separating the systemic stuff with the interpersonal stuff.
Right.
And I think it's also being like, okay, look, we can't address the systemic shit without dealing with the interpersonal first. Because we can't fight the interpersonal if we're not unified. We can't fight the systemic if we're not unified.
Right.
If like so many, like, and you can see it online on Twitter, where it's like whenever people try to talk about black queer people or whatever, it becomes
Black first.
Black. Look, you're trying to talk about black queer men. You get these cishet men going, well, we're not talking about black men here. Why are we talking about black men? It's like, well, we were talking about black men. We were talking about black men. It's like, you don't even see them as black men. You don't even see, black queer people as queer people. They see black queer people as plants. And it's like just getting even from the basement to the first level of they are people. And then moving forward, because at the end of the day, it's like, the reason why we have not addressed these systemic issues is like they're finding all of these random conspiracy theories when it's them.
Right.
It's like, heal yourself,
Yeah.
and then you can heal everything else. Start in you.